And Karen has given me the word that we should begin, and more people will be coming, but we also have people coming in on Facebook and all as well. To everyone who's joining us in all the various places that you are, including some who are not even in tonight, which is Saturday night here in Seattle, on behalf of my colleague Karen, who's doing all the behind the scenes work, and all the rest of our colleagues at Eliott Bay Book Company, which is on Duwamish land here in the city of Seattle, in the northwestern part of the United States. We are delighted and thrilled and in a celebratory place tonight as we honor and celebrate with the 30th anniversary reading for Eliott Bay to host the African American Writers Alliance, which is here in Seattle. And we're doing so, and of course, the vast majority of these 30 times have been in person and great company and audience and authors. I mean, almost the intermingle part of who's going to read and be heard from and who's there to see and support. It's all different now, as we know, because we're doing these almost everything, a lot of things this way these days. But I think as the evening goes along, you'll see there's some delightful surprises that get to happen because of this, because not everyone who's with us to read from the group tonight is here in Seattle, and that will become evident as we go along. In fact, not even in the United States. But that also is part of the way these things work, is we realize we're in a world that is both large and small. And that's a world that I think the Alliance, the group, the collective group, which is had a lot of constants among the people who've read and spoken over the years, but it's also had a lot of people come and go. I mean, there's that part of anywhere that a community that has over 30 years is going to have those kinds of changes. It was a little more than 30 years ago. It was because it was a few months before this that I was in our old location in Pioneer Square, and we'd had all sorts of readings going on in the store over time. All kinds of writers, both local and from far away. I mean, think of local people like Charlotte Watson Sherman and Julia Boyd, and Carletta Wilson had read, Colleen McElroy, Charles Johnson, and many from far away had read. Toni Morris and Alice Walker and many others had come through. So I was approached by a Seattle poet who we knew a little bit, Randy Edens, who said, there's a group of us that have been formed. It's a group that wants to do readings and kind of have a whole different variety of people speaking, all different kinds of writing, all ages. She had a son who was about 10 years old, who was part of that first reading. And I think there've been other very young writers along the way. And that's how that started. We just said, yes, let's do it. And so on what has generally been the last Saturday of February every year since, again, mostly in person, we've had these programs. And talking a little bit, and you'll hear next from Georgia McDade, but I remember one of the memorable times, sometimes before or after the group, we would have someone else. And one year it was June Jordan, who at that time was actually doing a whole series of programs with called Poems for the People, Poetry for the People. And another time it was Octavia Butler, I believe, before she moved to Seattle. She would come up and read when she lived in Los Angeles. So these programs have also had that kind of relation to other writers coming through. And anyway, it's a wonderful to always get to hear everybody, what they're doing. Of course, now it's even more precious because people haven't seen each other so much. So we're having that sense of doing so even over screens and over screens that you'll see and over the screens we're watching from. So I will now remove myself and get out of the way, as always. It's time for others to do the shining here and do the wonderful work. And one of the people who's been so vital and central to everything that's happened, both with her own writing, but also with making sure the group kind of keeps its own thing going, because it takes a lot to kind of keep the various voices going. And it's a great pleasure. She does so much in the community. She does so much in her own writing. Please join first in giving a welcome to her, but eventually you'll give it to everyone. But please give a good virtual welcome and applause to the wonderful Dr. Georgia S. McDade. Thank you, Georgia. Go.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and thank you so very much for joining us on this our 30th anniversary. Thank you, Rick, again for saying yes to Randy's request. after a few years, we knew we could count on reading at Eliott Bay. We read at other places, but this was the one place that we always read the same time. I think twice we didn't read on a Saturday night, and that has made a difference. For those who don't know, it was Randy who founded the African American Writers Alliance. I am grateful for her. I don't see myself as a founder of anything really, but certainly not such an organization as this. But I'm always willing to help somebody spread a great idea, and this was a great idea. When Randy arrived from California, she expected to find groups of Black writers, groups she'd become accustomed to, familiar with in California, but she had no luck. So she did what visionaries do. She began AAWA, and we've been reading steadily since, especially during February. January is our second busiest month. I often begin introductions or when I have to speak in February by saying we read in March and April and May. Just as how history goes on every day of every year. I want to say sit back and relax, but some of us, for varied reasons, do not get to sit back and relax, or at least not often. For Black History Month, I want to remind you that today is the 10th anniversary of the murder of Trayvon Martin. There was no video then. And of course, Zimmerman was free, at least in some ways. Thank God there was a video for Ahmaud Arbery and so many others. And the persons responsible for killing him were convicted of a hate crime this month. I always smile. What does it take? How do you define hate? And then all of you know about the momentous occasion of a Black woman being named to the Supreme Court. So there have been ups and downs, good and bad. And tonight, I ask you to sit back and listen and learn and make a difference as some of the African American writers here in Seattle unmask themselves and tell their stories in their words. Thank you so much. Dee Williams is first, right?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dee Williams, and I'll be reading a few poems from a book that I published a few years ago by the title Bodhisattva Wisdom. Come in, keep shoes on. Come in, you're welcome to come in and take your shoes off here. But we will not insist because you might step into the mess that keeps being swept under the rug. Please do not look in that closet, as there you will find so many bones of past hurts, worries, and despair that should not see the light of day. Therefore, we keep that door closed generation after generation. I meant to warn you, do not go into the attic. There are some ghosts of our past that will surely haunt your thoughts, no matter how stylishly you dress or the fancy of your car, house, or other acquired thing of this modern world. The basement, another place that we know to be dark and mysterious, filled with bone boxes taped shut and stacked high. These boxes are a reminder of the dreams, hopes dashed, missed opportunities, unmet expectations, and attempts at many projects over the years that we left undone. All I have to offer you is a glass of water to drink, because there are some here who think we drink up so much from outside influences. Moreover, this has caused such confusion in the minds of so many that there just may not be any will for action toward a new beginning in a realm of peace and harmony. Finally, do not speak too loud. The walls are quite thin, and someone will hear our voices. They may take our words and turn them against us in order to get a laugh or gossip for a news bite. I want you to always feel welcome here. Just remember, it's okay to keep your shoes on. However, if I know you well, you are like the great Marley, completely relaxed wherever you are, without worries. No matter where you are, you be jamming.
Mm-hmm.
Dedicated to all the women who decide to take a stand and make a move towards renewal of their mind, body, and spirit. She's gone, y'all. It is deep when a woman says, I've had enough, and hits the road alone. The first few miles, he may think she will surely turn around and come back home. Then after 50 miles, she might pay her respects to those in the area who love and care for her on this side of the country. She can only see the long road ahead. This winding road trip will find memories of quiet contemplation, anger, fear, and determination. The kids in the back seat know not what lies ahead, only that they are in the care of the strongest woman they have come to know. Even the kids at such a young age have had enough too. Too much fighting, loud, harsh words flying from the room down the hall. They could only cover their little ears and try to drift off to dreamland and hope for a better day tomorrow. Therefore, he waits by the phone for a call to come rescue her. But she never calls for his help. 1,000 miles are behind her, and she is halfway home again, on the other side of the country, the place of refuge that long awaited her return. She and the kids land in the arms of family, friends, and grandma's hands, a place she knows is loving and a kind place to rest her head in peace. So many miles away from the Neverland that could not contain her spirit and loving kindness. Is she ever going to call, he thinks, as he continues to sit and wonder. Her call finally comes. When she's parked at her destination, the words are gentle, civil, and kind. She has only a few things to say. You've rocked my world for the very last time. Goodbye. Click.
Mm-hmm.
Ode to Mr. C. A poem about a bodhisattva. The lights are on and somebody is home. That warm smile in a heart filled with hope, faith, and love for humanity. Never forget a life lived to the fullest in the face of unnumbered obstacles, leaning into the space between despair and unimagined joy, into this place we call life in the present moment. We've all been there, on the edge of life where we think we've had enough, where we can no longer endure the pain. This place is mocked by the one with the warm smile and a heart filled with hope, faith, and love for family. Hope for the future where grandkids are cherished, school age and teenage and 20 and something offspring find the joy inside themselves and lose the fear of living their best life. Hope for a future where a community learns to live, laugh, and love together, where the books that divide us into Christians, Jews, atheists, Buddhists, Muslims, gay, straight, old, young, men and women are rewritten to reflect the most fundamental truth of universal love among all people in the human race. Do you see the look in his eyes? Intelligent, strong, and wise, taking no prisoners, but taking it all inside and reflecting on the true meaning of the Bodhisattva vow. The vow is to lose all fear of dying and to lose all fear of living. Remember the look in his eyes, and you know he kept his vow. He shall remain in our thoughts, and his legacy lives on for you and me and for all to see. This is an ode to my friend who we called Mr. C. Thank you. I will end there.
Thank you. Thank you. Gail?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Gail Haynes, and I'm reading a poem that was put on my spirit a while back, and I just put it together a little bit more depth to it. And it's titled, Classy Mamacita. She is a classy mamacita with an African flair. She walks with a bounce, with shiny highlights in her kinky ebony hair. Her skin is mahogany, like black gold. She dances free with loud, clunky jewelry, colorful and bold. Oh, she's confident and sure. Her intentions for others are pure. One may think she lives without a care, but in all honesty, when someone needs her, she is always there. She overlooks racism, although it's sadly there. It has caused many lives to live in despair. Her heart breaks for our ancestors of old who could not live the life they were given, out of their homes, forced, tragically driven. Hopes, dreams died as they were caught and trapped like a dog, hog-tied, imprisoned, beaten, and flogged. She can't imagine their pain. Thoughts manifested. Was it a nightmare? Or was their faith being tested? We as a people have walked through years and centuries enduring discrimination, mistreatment, and pain. However, we don't look like what we've been through. We have victoriously held on. Over 1 million Jews were murdered, Indians too. Africans were captured, enslaved, hunted, killed beyond number. But as you look around, one may wonder, how did our ancestors make it? What caused them to last, to rise up above hate and mistreatment of their past? The perpetrators did not realize when you entrap a person against their will, an inner strength of survival develops beyond the surface of the eyes. It's a substance on the inside no one can physically see. It's passed down through generations and becomes a part of our genetic makeup. It's telling the world, no matter what you do to me, I will not give up. So when you see her walking with a smile, a bounce of an African flair, but broke, hungry, and feeling somewhat disgusted. Don't worry, she won't stay there. It's temporary and a fleeting situation because this too will pass. It's a confidence on the inside because that substance inside of us will last. In all honesty, I believe the substance comes from God above as a manifestation of his unshakable, unconditional love. That is all. This is for those of us who have been discriminated against, who have been bypassed, misunderstood, downtrodden, and forgotten. It's all of us. The African American people, the Native American people, the Native Americans and the Jews, and everyone else who has been mistreated. This is a salute to them. This too will pass. That's it. All right. Amen. I hope I came across loud enough. Can you put a thumbs up if you heard me? Okay, good. Appreciate it. All right.
Who's the moderator?
Gaylloyd?
Yes. I thought I was next. I'm going to read some poems, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about a book I just recently published. And just a minute. The first poem is the title, Extinction. We're still crying, shocked, not shocked. The present's still here, includes what passed. We're still crying, standing, not backing out. The oppressed, standing, oh yeah, I lost my place. I'm gonna start over. We're still crying, shocked, not shocked. The present's still here, includes what passed. We're still crying, struggling not to have struggled. The fight still in motion, includes our defectors. We're still crying, silently accepting name calling. Those still separate from others, include those found in our ranks. We're still crying, success, though envisioned, is invisible. The promise still only rewards. Promise includes nature, previously remedied. We're still crying, seems peaceful means evades ability. The successful still examples are chaotic, includes warless hunters and gatherers. We're still crying, but we have one remedy left, extinction. Mornings. It's almost 8 o'clock when the sun is first seen in the eastern horizon as my western view awaits to witness the appearance of that sphere that's hot enough to warm anything its light rays dances on. Morning, the first light is called, regardless that light constantly breaks a darkened area of the rotating planet and measures nanoseconds, identifying time as a physical changing function of existence. A new brightened creation left on its own passes noon and encounters night, a time metaphor describing terminations of what happened since the beginning of morning. The next one is The Weeds Are Winning. And if for you're a gardener, you'll love this one. It's a war. Fighting an enemy that keeps coming back. Makes me feel like I'm losing. Man against weed. I think weeds know they're going to win. It's a matter of numbers. There's more of them than me. But I come out, put on my gloves, and use all the weapons I have. A breath. It's fresh air in the morning, fresh air all day till the morning. Then again, it's fresh air. It's fresh air when I see you. Fresh air, I touch your eyes with mine and then smile. It's fresh air. It's fresh air. I so love you. Fresh air, peace and calmness every day, and from every day, it's fresh air. Nature chatters. Listen to sparrows twitter and in competition with whistling robins and crows call. Hear the breeze blow leaves bickering. Eavesdrop when dogs woof to each other and cat express concerns or purr. Ignoring nature's chatter, technology, airborne planes, auto wheel road sounds, and television, radios, or cell phones notifying you. And Pacific Ocean beaches, which was on Cairo, in case you heard this before. Find a quiet place to consume views of Pacific Ocean beaches. Stand close and listen to sounds of waves charging boulders tightly held in sandy shore. There, seconds until the next crash, small crabs scurry from predators. Salty fragrances constantly assault the air from shores of our blue marble regardless of onshore place. Changes from warm, soft breezes to sharp, cold winds offers the sea's aroma. With every taken our lost breath, the scented air's tactile existence, though unseen, is inhaled, acknowledged, and taken for granted. Along rocky cliffs, guardians of the ocean, coastal oceans offer drafts that lift seagulls over shores and along watery boundaries. The gulls echo songs to one another in high-pitched screeches. On a cloudless day, in the distance over noon's sparkling sea, near where the sun falls, nothing else but earth's edge challenges the arc on which the horizon lay. Admire eastern mountains from coastal cliff. Different color soils, tattles, minerals. Trees grow dressed in seasonal still green. Other plants sport new leaves. Flowers in delightful hues thrive from the mountains down to the coast, endeared by the changing weather off beaches, far away beneath them. And in the conclusion, I would like to show you how to do this.
Get closer.
Oh,
Closer to
there we go. This is my new book, Down the Road of Peace. It's a historical fiction memoir. And you can purchase, I'll put the website where you can purchase from me, but it also can be purchased in several other bookstores here in Barrie. And,
And on Amazon.
and on Amazon.com. So, looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Everybody's congratulating you.
I'm back. I have 3 poems, and the first one is called Asking for Help. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to bother you. I asked you the last time. You helped me the last time. I hate asking you. I know I didn't make a good choice. You told me not to. You would think less of me, hate me, be angry with me. I was embarrassed, ashamed. As a result of any one of the replies above, the situation may remain as it is or worsen. Occasionally, but rarely, the situation may independently improve itself. Why not aim to make it better sooner? Being alive means possibility. And often the situation can be rectified, improved, changed, especially with help. The next poem I called Who We Are. So often I hear that, and the person doesn't mean what I'm thinking, so I wrote this poem. That's who we are. That's not who we are. Both lines pronounced proudly and affirmatively. But who's the speaker? Who are those in that we? What is the that? The definitions obviously move, vary. Just how inclusive is the we? How broad is the that? Oh, to have the words of the Constitution and Declaration equally applied. To have all citizens in unison say, that's who we are, or that's not who we are. And have all listeners proclaim, that's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. My last one is a light one, but it's true, it's true. And I call it Georgia's Wishes. I want to read all day the New York Times, the Washington Post, the many newsletters I signed up for, and a few I never requested. Time, Ebony, Atlantic, The Guardian, and everything I want to read in the New York Times Review. I want to cook that stash of recipes from newspapers and friends, magazines, and doctors' offices. I want to make dishes I love to make, especially cookies. Then, if I choose, I can just give them away. I want to prepare meals for friends and acquaintances with no thought of time, cooking, or dining or visiting. I want to quilt like Medea and both my grandmothers. I want to call friends whom I have not spoken to in ages. I want to write my computer-less friends more often. I want to write the good stuff and perhaps a bit of the bad stuff in my head. I want to swim whenever I feel like it with no thought about my hair. I want to go to the museums and art galleries, not think about cost, stay as long as I choose. And I want to travel and travel and travel and travel some more, never thinking about cost, danger, or footprints. But most of all, I wish the world and all of its inhabitants could have real peace. All I need are time and money for those first wishes, but this last one takes more, and I just don't have the answer. Thank you.
Give me over. Okay. I'm ready.
Go ahead, Helen.
Oh, thank you. This evening, I will be reading two renditions of my writings on Black history. The first one is When the Hunter is on the Run. Back in the day, poll taxes and literacy tests were put in place as a requirement for the Southern Black voters. The rule of thumb existed to disenfranchise Black citizens so they couldn't vote. It was believed that to take one man's dignity assured the superior status of another. Today, it's voters' identification that are needed. Now that those Black citizens can vote, those with the power to control the laws are demanding that the voting laws be changed because they lost. They are determined to make sure the voting laws work to their advantage, as losers always do. Their power comes from taking what they believe is their right. They don't care that we know why they now want the voters' laws changed, or that as long as the previous laws worked to their advantage, they were happy with them. They lost this time around. Of course, as always, the Black voters are being targeted because of those losses. Those with the power to do so are hurrying to change the laws again. If the laws requiring identification don't get them back in power and they lose again, they will place other restrictions on who can or cannot vote. It's called changing the rules of the game until you win. That's what happens when the deer has got the gun and the hunter is on the run. Thank you, dear. My next thing that I will share with you will be from one of my other writings, Miss Johnny B's Encounter with the Klan. Miss Johnny B looked up at her parents' picture, removed her glasses, and shared the story of the night she and several freedom riders were on their way back from a trip to another town. We were on our way back from Seal one night. That's another town in Mississippi, close to where we were living at the time. The Klansmen waved us down, Miss Johnny B said to them as they gave her their attention. We were blinded by the spotlights that flashed on our car. I don't think I've ever been so scared in my life. My knees shook so hard when they made us get out the car, I couldn't stop them. That's the kind of fear that brings water from your body. You can't stop. Get out of that car, nigga, one of them shouted. We're gonna have us a hanging here tonight. Katie, the white girl riding with us, grabbed my hand. She and I were seated in the back seat. Look what we got here, a nigger-loving bitch in the back seat. She refused to get out of the car when they told us to. Tears were falling from her eyes as we looked at the hate in the face of the white policeman calling her a nigger-loving bitch with such venom you would have thought she had been bit by a cobra. One of them grabbed her by her blonde hair and dragged her out screaming. She was a little girl and just 19 years old at the time. I don't know what happened. Either she didn't really understand the history of the Klan in this country or her privileged mind clicked in. I'll have your job, you white cracker trash, she screamed at them when the others began to help drag her out. Leave me the fuck alone, you dirty white bastards. When she uttered those words, I started praying, Lord, step in, because I knew death was on us if he didn't do something. The one wearing the police uniform dragged her over by a tree, put a rope around her neck and told her, we kill nigger-loving trash like you, little bitch. How would you like the feel of this rope around your neck, stretched with your tongue hanging out? And then whose job would you have? They all laughed while we stood there, wondering which one of us they would come get next. He and the others pulled her clothes off and fondled her body, saying, how many niggas have you let touch you like this? About that time, another carload of whites drove up. I knew then we were dead. One of the men got out, walked up to us, looking over at Katie there on the ground with the rope around her neck and her clothes torn off. We can't afford to have Mississippi gutted by the feds like they is in Alabama. Y'all know that, he said, his eyes still on Katie. He went over to where she lay sobbing on the ground, pulled her up by her arm, slapped her so hard, I felt it. If any of this get back to them nigger-loving Yankees up north, all these niggas will be dead. Do you understand me? He screamed in her face. And at last, I think she finally realized how deadly our situation was, especially when he pulled her into his face and said, not only will these niggas die, we will come kill their little nigger babies down to the last one. You understand what I mean? She nodded. Yes, sobbing so hard when he let her go, she fell to the ground. He then walked over to one of the men with us and said to him, She'll be dead before the next nightfall if I catch her riding with you niggas again, and I don't need to tell you what will happen to the rest of you. He walked off a piece, then stopped. Turning around, he said to no one in particular, tell that newspaper nigga I'll be looking for him. My heart stopped and I can't remember when it started beating again. I don't know to this day why they didn't kill us, yet the terror I felt that night, I don't know how to describe it except to say my heart pounded so loud in my chest. I not only heard it, I could feel it in my throat, choking me to death. After that night, I moved to another level, a higher one than most in knowing how to truly let God abide. Katie wanted to stay and fight, keep fighting, but we knew better than she did that what that white man said, he meant. Thank you. Black history at its worst. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
James?
Good evening, everyone. I am James D. Macon. I am an author who writes fantasy with a touch of mystery. I published 5 books in the Phosphire Journey series. The books in the series are Purveyors and Acquirers, Practitioner of the Arts, Opener of Doors, and Guardian of the Trade and Champion of the Temple. The last book, Champion of the Temple, was released in November of 2021. My writing is for young adults and adults. I believe my stories are appropriate down to a reader in the 4th grade, but will challenge and interest a mature reader. The Phosphire Journeys is about a sun-kissed orphan by the name of Zeal, a boy who can hold fire within himself. The books chronicle his life from childhood to adulthood. You will witness his humble beginnings, learn and grow along with him, suffer through his failures and mistakes, and hopefully cheer his successes. I'd like to tell you about the first book in the Phosphire Journeys titled Purveyors and Acquirers. And also read the beginning of chapter 1. In the port city of Orlando, Zeal, an orphan with a mysterious benefactor, is an apprentice in a shadowy organization known as the Trade. Through his training, mentorship, and natural skill, he rapidly becomes adept at procuring possessions and secrets that belong to others. When one of his fellow apprentices is kidnapped by a group of preying on Atlanta's children, Zeal's mentors discover to their surprise that the kidnappers are using the conjuring arts to carry out the nefarious plot. Although the apprentices were instructed to stay out of the matter and not endanger themselves further, Zeal and his fellow novices cannot stand aside. How can they, when their specific intensive training can be used to help their dear friend? Against their mentor's wishes, and in accordance with their lessons, the apprentices plan and act in secret. As they fight the threat to their trade family, Zeal and his cohorts meet adventure at every turn. While Zeal discovers that he has unusual powers of his own, including the ability to talk to the dead. Chapter 1. She awakened, having fallen asleep in the cushioned wicker chair, still too tired to react to the soft sound that had disturbed her slumber. The strong aroma of unwashed body assaulted her senses. She started to turn her head to look for the source. When the knife slashed, she was caught unaware. Twice he struck her in the back. The sharp pain she felt stole her breath away, and she was unable to cry out. The man, wielding the knife, pushed her to the ground, not bothering to finish his work. While she watched, he quickly searched the room, ignoring the babe in the cradle across from her. The infant's eyes opened. He startled when he caught sight of the stranger. She wondered what the man could be looking for. He stopped and turned to study her. Blood frothed from between her pale lips as he reached for the lantern on a nearby table. Her green eyes opened wide in shock. All she was able to do was stare at the assailant who stood between her and the infant. She could only think of her babe and slowly reach her trembling hand toward him. I wasn't told about the child. The man smiled as he opened the lantern and casually emptied the oil around the room. He then removed a tender twig from the pouch on his belt, flicked the twig with his nail to light it, and set the oil aflame. She could not turn her head far enough to keep track of her attacker when he stepped behind her and walked quietly out the rear door of the one-room cottage. The man slammed the door behind him. The woman, with agonizing slowness, dragged herself toward her babe. The low cradle rocked when the child reached out toward his mother and smiled. A cloaked, hooded figure in a doorway that wasn't present in her cottage before the attack. The silent observer made no attempt to come to her aid as she used the cradle to pull herself up onto her knees. Gently, she lifted the babe out of its sleeper. Her blood washed over him as she held him close, her last breath given to him as a blessing before her struggle for life ended. Her body relaxed, allowing the infant to roll out of her limp arms onto the floor next to her. The flames rose around them, consuming the cottage's walls. Smoke thickened as it swirled around the room. The cloaked, hooded figure strode to the pair. The blaze spread by the burning oil danced away from him, never touching, but springing back into place with his passing. With a caress, he closed the mother's eyes, then took the babe into his arms. He rose and walked back through the doorway, which disappeared from the wall as though it had never existed. The flames claimed the small home and the young mother. As the fire consumed her, a fiery female form rose up from her body, stood, and stretched. The blazing woman smiled before shrinking to the mote the size of a fingertip. Glowing brightly, the ember, all that remained of the woman, rose skyward on heated currents of air through the remains of the thatched roof. Unfortunately, I have no more time, but thank you for allowing me to spend some of your precious time with you.
Thank you so much. That's great. And I'm next up. James, if you want to go ahead and mute, that was wonderful. And Dr. Georgia McDade, if you'd go ahead and mute. And Helen, oh my gosh, why did you do that? Helen. Oh, Helen knows me. Oh my, I'm telling you, I was holding my own breath. My heart is still beating. Okay. I'm still gonna try and do my piece. My name is Jay, and of course I'm a member of the Writers Alliance, and I write social justice and injustice poetry and prose. I also write children's stories, do spoken word, and one of the readers tonight is Merri Ann Osborne. And thanks to Merri Ann Osborne, I'm also a playwright, and I've had 2 plays that were performed. So really excited about that. And so I'm kind of leaning in that direction. But tonight, of course, I need to read to you. And the piece that I'm going to read is called "And Still I Survived." Now I couldn't take "and still I rise." So I took "and still I survived." Human capital kidnapped first by the Portuguese, America following suit, bringing mineral-rich kingdoms to their knees, shackled, chained, whipped, forced on the Juno Mali, and volunteer was the last thing proud kings, queens, chiefs, and warrior braves did. Snatched from a land of diamonds and gold, highly revered, and still I survived. Shipped as packaged meat, crammed in thigh to thigh inside the dark wooden dam cave, stored away to be bought, sold, and exploited in America as cotton, sugar, and tobacco picking slaves, and still I survived. Plantation life is not for the faint of heart, ancestral courage beaten from memory right from the start, bondage breaking, a willingness to be defiant, resistance crumbling into compliance, forbidden to read, understand the words of the oppressor, to breathe. The Susan King Taylor, the first Black teacher, taught the strange printed mysteries, forbidden to leave without a note signaling permission, ensuring unchallenged obedience, total submission, and still I survived. Forbidden cultural drums, Chick Webb embodied the spirit of drumming rhythm vibrating through snares, powerful beats, sweet as the taming of wild mares, forbidden to excel. Tortured dreams, daily nightmares. W.E.B. Du Bois and Frederick Douglass, once America's slaves, becoming authors, activists, academics, historical figures, defying odds in the home of the brave, forbidden to own land, create businesses, enjoy the pride of entrepreneurship, threats, bombings, cross burnings, constant deterrence. Sarah Breedlove Walker tackles stifling laws and restrictions, becoming the first Black female entrepreneur, a millionaire, removing the shackles of unfounded intellectual depictions, and still I survived. Through slavery meant to dehumanize us, lynchings meant to terrify us, Jim Crow laws meant to defeat us, unlawful imprisonment meant to quiet us, assassination of leaders meant to stop us, segregation meant to deter us, redlining meant to confine us, railroad tracks and freeways meant to divide us, misleading biblical teachings meant to control us, false narratives meant to confound us, ongoing racism and discrimination meant to remind us that the fight still rages on, even with a former president with the audacity of hope intended to unite us, political leaders standing their ground to empower us to retain the Voting Rights Act of 1965 as legislators naively oblivious to the storms brewing to destroy all of us, gleefully blow the dust off shackles, whips, and chains to return us to the new Jim Crow intended to re-enslave us. And still, I'll survive, as there is nothing new anyone can throw at us. This is Jay. Thank you so much for listening. I'm finished with my piece.
Hello, everyone. Excellent, Jay. Loved it. My name is Kibibi Monié. I'm the executive director of New Black Arts West Theater. It's the oldest African-American theater in the Pacific Northwest. And I am a new member of AAWA, the African American Writers Alliance. And this is a piece I wrote in, 2018. All aboard, like the powerful rumbling feel of a locomotive headed towards freedom. Starting out slow and gathering speed. Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. Like the sound of a railroad car moving towards equality. Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. I love your determination to be free, but why should I take a knee, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee? I realize you've been dehumanized by a system full of all sorts of lies with false accusations and on humiliations fed to the world with determination to keep us down, face down, on and into the ground. Take a knee, take a knee. I stand accused of not setting you free, but I still see no reason to take a knee, 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 take a knee. Free to build and thrive, take a knee. Free to be alive, take a knee. Free from miseducation, take a knee. Free from improper incarceration, all forms of misappropriation, including misrepresentation, ongoing hateful discrimination, violence, and shameful elimination. Take a knee, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. If you stand for peace, love, and harmony, take a knee. If you think we should all be free of poverty, take a knee. If the murder of children in our schools is wrong, take a knee. If the killing of Black people should not go on, been done for far too long, take a knee, take a knee, take a knee. Make things right and set yourself free with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you.
Lola.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. That was just powerful. Thank you. Wow. So a deep breath in and a deep breath held and a breath out. A baby was born in Kiev's subway today. An old woman sits in her apartment, alone in a wheelchair, watching bombs explode across her city, wondering who will gather her things. A young man realizes he will never again receive his chemotherapy treatments. A father knows his dialysis will never resume. A mother stares at the remaining insulin vials for her 7-year-old. Employees understand their paychecks will never come. In 20 years, they will publish a former Russian soldier, his confessional, the next Amy Tan, her mother's journey to freedom, the next Bob Bernstein, the Kremlin's damning documents. 10 years ago, a power-hungry fool killed Trayvon Martin. This week, a power-hungry fool attacked Ukraine. Today, a baby was born in Kiev's subway. Next piece is one that I actually have up on my website and will actually be in the upcoming AAWA anthology, which we're all excited to have coming up. And I just need to find it on my screen, which I had all prepped and ready to go, but doesn't want to be here now. Give me 1 second. Okay, here it is. Dark matter. We are the black firmament of all beginnings, birthing stars and moons, planets and comets. We are the force holding celestial reality in suspension with imagination, sparking life from the collision of aspiration and determination. We are the force focusing thought into action, squeezing reality out of dream time, revealing life disguised as endings, carving paths through shifting sands of memory. We are the force between letters and words, notes and melodies, numbers and formulas, quarks and beings. We are the force coaxing seeds beyond their shells, singing buds into blossoms, dancing fields into universes of life, feeding the planet. We are the unseen, the unacknowledged force holding meaning in place, birthing reality from fantasy. We are the force nurturing nations' souls with music, dance, art, and theater, nourishing the world with kernels carried from ancestral memory. We are the dark matter binding time to space, defining the existence of all things, animating the inanimate. Our extinction signals the unraveling of universes seen and unseen. We are the force. And then finally, a poem that will also be in the anthology, and it's sort of been my mantra for the last year. Breathe, children, breathe. Stars swirl round my apron, spun dust-like from the first drumbeat of life. Breathe, children, breathe. Dance with me between the minuscule luminous orbs, recall the magnificence suspending them, reclaim its profound beauty. Breathe, children, breathe. Gaze into the moonless night, see the black beauty of all birth clinging to my skin in layers deeper than time's memory. Breathe, children, breathe. Behold the orgiastic ebony energy that powers all light, manifesting thought into being, faith into biology. Breathe, children, breathe. Close your eyes, come close. Remember before the dream, before the flesh and bone, we were one. Breathe, children, breathe. Night is your name for me. Day is your infinitesimal illusion. Take off the mask. See me so you can finally see yourselves. Breathe, children, breathe. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Lola. I love the first one, Keith and the baby being born. And when I get that feeling of, oh my goodness, and we're at war, I run outside. I have to go outside. So hello, everyone. My name is Margaret S. Barrie, and you can call me Miss M. Some of you I know, and some of you I don't know, but all of you are my friends. And I love you all, and I love our planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, and we're all connected to her. The air we breathe by the way of the trees, the water we drink by the way of the rain, and the unity of our divineness by the way of our consciousness. I'm always outside, watching the sky, the air traffic, the planes, the rains, and of course the birds. Once when I was walking to the farmer's market, I heard the sound of geese. I looked up and saw them fly by. The following poem's called Sight came to mind. A flock of geese, as loud as they please, flew above me in perfect harmony with the wind until they faded away. The wonder of geese in the V shape saves energy in perfect harmony with the wind. Witnessing the divinity of the geese and the divinity of the wind was a sight. This next one and my last one is called Granddaughters, Seagulls, and Seals. Once upon a time, I thought I was losing my grandchildren. I wanted to hold them so tight. I was concerned. I lost them to their friends and their families. Now they're teenagers. So I walked on a winter solstice day, a dormant day, an insightful time, a reflection time. At Lincoln Park, I gave my respect to Richard the Dragon, who was created by our friend, Richard Beyer, the artist whose art originates from stories and human circumstances we experience. It was a wet and cloudy day. I walked down the long trail toward the shoreline, sniffing the smell of seaweed and the salt water. I saw a viewing, an image in the distance, sound, moving slowly north. It was shaped like a silhouette vision of a large and raggedy old pirate ship, draped in a light fog that looked like torn sails. Though I really have to say now, after the fog lifted, it was actually a tug pulling a large barge filled to the top with rubble, leaning against one another. On the beach, I walked to the point where the Coleman swimming pool lives. On the beach, I sat on a bench. At the base, a plaque read, "Cherish yesterday, live today, dream tomorrow." I sat there thinking about my grandchildren and how I felt I was losing them. And I was all of a sudden looking in awe of the seals, just feasting as the seagulls hovering above their heads in the sound. At first sight, the seal was visible, and then its head sank into the water as its long, graceful body followed. The seal surfaced again, and with a friend who had a fish in its mouth. They ate, played, went under, resurfaced, while the seagulls flew over, squawking and maneuvering their wings, trying to snatch a scrap of fresh fish. The sight was what I needed to see. That sight was what I needed to see. I realized I wasn't losing my granddaughters. I haven't lost them. They'll always be a part of my life as long as I'm alive. They'll travel back and forth, moving in and out like the seals gliding under the water and resurfacing. I walked north with a skip in my stride as I welcomed the soft rain. Thank you for listening to Miss M. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Miss M, that was beautiful. My name is Merri Ann, and I like to write about a lot of things, but especially the intersection of history and culture and social issues and environment. So taking Miss M's lead on that, I'm going to share a poem that I wrote last summer. AAWA collaborated with the Seattle Public Library for a series of readings, and we had different topics every time, and one of them was nature and the environment. And I love nature. I love being in the Pacific Northwest and anywhere enjoying nature. So I'm inspired to write something about nature, and this will be in the upcoming anthology that I hope y'all check out, AAWA's anthology, featuring a lot of folks who are on this. So this one is called Zahara Goes to Summer Camp. Spring had come to the city. The flowers were in bloom. Little Zahara loved springtime, especially when walking to school. She didn't mind the bugs and bees, the pollen in the air. In Kiswahili, Zahara means to bloom and shine, and she felt the magic everywhere. And far off in the distance, Mount Tahoma, full of snow, made her feel so special, her body all aglow. Now, when spring ended with summer just beginning, her parents told her something she didn't expect that set her mind a spinning. We signed you up for summer camp, said Mama. Zahara listened, stunned. Hiking, canoeing, and swimming, you'll have so much fun. I went to summer camp when I was your age, her daddy added in. I remember all the laughter at the campfire with my friends. Zahara loved her parents, always did what she was told, but she didn't want to go to some boring camp, so she quickly told them so. Zahara started pleading to her mother and her father, please don't send me to summer camp. I won't be a bother. I'll clean the house. I'll do any chore. Please let me stay at home. Don't send me off to summer camp. I'll feel so alone. Mama said, oh, so gently, baby, it's just for a week. And you won't be all alone. There's lots of kids you'll meet. Trust me, Zahara, when I say, don't worry so. We'll know you'll have so much fun. You'll be glad we let you go. She still wasn't convinced. So that night before she went to bed, Zahara told her brothers, and this is what they said. Little sis, don't worry. No need to be so sad. Hiking, canoeing, and swimming, that camp doesn't sound so bad. At least you'll be having lots of fun. Listen to what Dad has us doing. Weeding, painting, fixing stuff, we sure won't be canoeing. You're right about that, her oldest brother said. But Zahara, don't you know? Your camp is near Mount Homa. Now I bet you want to go. The next few weeks, her daddy told her stories of when he was young. When he went to his first summer camp at 8 years old, how much he changed when it was done. You're 8, just like I was. It's your first time away from home, feeling lonely and even scared, maybe thinking you won't belong. But listen closely, Zahara, to what I'm telling you. Just be yourself. Know you are loved. You'll be surprised what you can do. The night before she left for camp, Zahara checked she had everything. Lots of things to remember. Could there be something she forgot? The next morning, she hugged her family and got on the summer camp bus, trying not to feel so lonely, trying not to feel so lost. Her wooden cabin was called Chinook, like the salmon who swim so strong. There were 5 bunk beds, which means 10 little girls. She'd hoped they'd all get along. The counselors talked about safety. She tried to learn everybody's names. They ate lunch together under the trees, and they played fun campfire games. She saw peeking up between the trees, come to save the day, was Mount Homa, her dear old friend, and she knew she'd be okay. Now, the first night at the campfire, they learned about the stars, like the Big Dipper and the Milky Way. With binoculars, she saw Mars. In her bunk bed that evening, she giggled with the other little girls. They laughed about all they did that day. And then something flew into her curls. She couldn't help it. She started itching and swinging her arms in the air. Bug spray, that's what she forgot, as mosquitoes buzzed in her ears. Then the counselor came and yelled, "Lights out, it's time to go to bed." He closed the door and everyone got quiet. And soon she was sound asleep. There wasn't gonna be a riot. Oh, she made lots of friends. She saw a deer, an eagle, and a hawk. She learned how to be a good leader and not be afraid of the dark. In the afternoon, they went canoeing and swimming in a cool mountain lake. She had never rowed before in her life. That night, she felt her arms ache. And every morning when she woke up, she saw the mountain oh so high. It gave her strength, hope, and joy. She felt like she could fly. Day 5, the campers met the National Park Rangers, who let them wear their ranger hats and told the kids they were the future for keeping the forest intact. It doesn't matter what age you are, there's plenty you can do. Live in harmony with nature, a healthy world for me and you. When day 6 came, she cried silently. Zahara knew she would soon be home, And while she missed her family, she knew that she had grown. And just like her daddy had told her, something inside her had changed. She now trusted and believed in herself and no longer was afraid. On day 7, the final one at the camp, she exchanged phone numbers with all her friends. The campers had come from all over Washington state. They promised they'd meet again. When she got home that night, back together with her family, Zahara told lots of camp stories and the beauty of the trees. Hiking, swimming, and canoeing, Mount Tahoma and the animals she'd seen. Now she wanted to be a camp counselor when she became a teen. Zahara was true to her name. That summer she shined and blossomed. Hiking, swimming, and canoeing, Zahara, you are awesome. Thank you. That is the abridged version. So get our anthology.
Yes, yes, yes.
And enjoy nature. Let's take care of each other and the world. So Minnie.
Okay. Thank you, Merri Ann. Wonderful. A lot of growing there. I have to take 30 seconds, Merri Ann, and thank you. Through the Mahogany Project, that you gave me a chance to be as inspirational as you are by turning a narrative into a script. So thank you very much. Yes, through the Mahogany Project. Okay. My name is Minnie Collins. I've been with AAWA for 15 or more years. I, along with Lola, Margaret, and others that you see on the screen, we all compose a variety of genres. I kind of focus on poems, essays, short narratives, write articles for blackpast.org, and many, many anthologies. When you talked about the summer camp, I thought about how the young lady grew from being apprehensive to now returning to be a real camp counselor. And that related to me because so much has grown in our central district. For example, we all know about the improvements, building erections, all kinds of different businesses, etc. But tonight, at that same location, close to 23rd, 24th and Union, there's an unveiling of Dr. James W. Washington Jr.'s statue or sculpted statue. And it's been a long process to get it in place. When I first visited the James Washington Jr. Foundation House, I saw lots of small pebbles, stones, rocks all around in his garden area as well as in his studio. So then Reverend Hall, who is one of the leaders of the Foundation House, asked me to write a poem. And it is called When Stones Talk. Can you imagine holding in your hand little rocks or pebbles and you caress them? You inhale the soil, the dirt around the earth that you have plucked from the ground. Well, I want you to think of fire, water, air, vapor, a chisel, grinding, scraping, stripping, diffusing, extracting, freeing, and then, what have I created? Master sculptor James Washington Jr. romanced his stones into sensual, titillating rhythms of salvation and restful meditation, filling voids. A diamond he is with his pneumatic hammers, flints, mallets, burnishing, buffing, refining. He's a messenger of the Yoruba Ashe, the power to make changes. He's a griot He is a griot for the young queen of Ethiopia, a wounded eagle, Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King Jr., the kingdom of God within, and his oracle of truth, all sculptors of spirits that are embedded yet freed from those stones. To know James Washington Jr. is to listen to those stories. Stones don't lie. Stones, never-ending travelers, record our ways of thinking, believing, and acting. When stones talk to us, we hear and support Black-owned and operated businesses, community activists, and educators. When stones talk, we rebuild our community. We petition the Land Use Review Committee, city council members. When stones talk, we rewrite and amend policies. When stones talk to us, we aerate our minds to act, not react, vote, not complain, to advocate, agitate if necessary. Definitely not to educate us, to graduate us, and not gyrate us, to perpetuate our visions, to create new legacies. Dr. James W. Washington Jr. believes the spirit, quote, of God dwells in us, and if we possess it, we can inject that spirit into any subject matter, other spirits, and stones to make them live, and we live together. Ashe, ashe. And the last selection is entitled Symbiotic Reciprocity, Turn and Return. Generations of women shape who we are, who we're transforming ourselves and transitioning ourselves from old to new and new to old. It is circular, recycle, repurpose, always altered. Women are exchanges and alterations of self from the transatlantic to the agrarian, to the industrial factories, to all kinds of social media platforms. There's a give and a take, a complementary dependence, a giving as well as the taking of symbiotic jewels of wisdoms found deep in the core of the strategy. Connecting the past from our ancestors, aunties, grandmothers, mothers, uncles, nieces, cousins, roots and wings. We are paragons of strength who teach ourselves in the spirit of reciprocity, that women participate in the giving, the sharing, the listening, the circles of wisdom. Generational reciprocity, crossing the danger waters, never rejecting the old ways. Ashe, ashe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minnie.
Ah.
Your titles are even poems. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
My name is Monique Franklin. I'm gonna pick up where Minnie left off about women. I'm gonna share a project that I've been working on. I'm in Senegal right now, so it's about 3:25 a.m. But this is my favorite reading of the year, not just because
it's Eliott Bay, really more because I get to hear so many wonderful Black voices at once, whom I love and respect. So I wouldn't have missed it for anything. But I'm working on a project called the Mommy's Muse Project, and I'm in Senegal rewriting my play. I actually presented a version of it before I left, and really excited to be presenting another version of it when I come back Mother's Day weekend in Tacoma. So the details of that will be to come, but if you want to see what I've been up to when it comes to the Mama's Muse Project, I posted the link and a little bit of what I think it's all about. But the poem that I'm going to read tonight is called Women of Soul. It's a tribute to Black women and also specifically to Shaka Khan, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, and Angie Stone. We are women of soul. We make the mic talk. We rock Black and proud. We take a long walk and shout, holler, and then slip a sweet thing to your soul. Women of soul are gifted at giving everything they got, lifting our spirits with the energy of their positive vibrations. Take a window seat and see what's inside the soul of a woman, the strength of the woman, courage, and the refrain of fortitude. But when we be loving ourselves, when we are loving ourselves, we are magic. In all places, doing all things in the streets, in business, good old-fashioned love. That's what we got. We are every woman. The trials of a woman, the pain, the ache, the agony of a cappella, heartbroken, soul underwater, can't take any more tears. Rebuilding from the bottom, we shall not get the blues. Because we be loving so deep, we can't find our way out again. The missing that we ain't kissing no more, the missing the loving you're giving to someone else until we realize that we are the loving that can't be broken or replaced. Our soul is an eternal sunny place. Watch them shine. The wisdom of women, the acoustic lessons earned and learned, the harmonized philosophies, the master plan sang over tracks. We are divine, above worldly. We are studied, wise, knowledge-bearing vessels, 360 degrees of soul, four circle. We are karmic, kinetic motion, moving, comedic soul, rolling on and on and on and on. We are unpacked and light. We light. Sisters, souls, holding hands, sharing stories of lessons, told so you ain't got to learn it the hard way. Healing our hearts and soul, we bringing the soul to the soul of a woman. We are the shoulder. We are fixers of crowns. We are our sisters' keepers. And sister, you've been on my mind. The creativity of a woman, melodic inspirations, feeling, passion, women of soul, birthing songs, the embodiment of creation, living our purpose, filling the earth with our special presence. We are creation at its essence. Step aside, the queens are coming through. The empresses of soul, we are the golden rule. Living our life like it's golden, living our life like it's golden. We are chocolate golden hues, the sound of a woman, whisper, shout, belted out in tone, the soul serenade, the hum, the moan, the groan, the growl, the love of a woman. Can I talk about it? Let me talk about it. We love our brothers and our sisters with every bit of our soul. We see your excellence. We see your intelligence, your potential. We know your soul. We ain't mistaken about the ways in which you are making the world go round. We are proud of the way you are elevating all of us. But the love of a woman being in love, we be believing in love, leading in love, honestly loving love, willing to work for love, all in for love. Through the fire for love, we'll heal for love. We'll heal you for love. We'll be patient for your love to heal, time and time again for love. And if the loving is good, Ooh. Oh, we gonna sing about it. Cause ain't nobody love me better. Ain't nobody make me feel this way. But don't get it twisted. Our loving is so good. You might not know how to handle it. Tell me something good. Tell me that you love me, yeah. I think you might like the soul of a woman. Sometimes our love is protective, overzealous, may I say jealous. But we'll set you straight, woman to woman. Queen shouldn't swing, if you know what I mean. If we're wrong, we will make it right. And again, if the loving is good, we'll sing and do whatever, 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 whatever. But we have gratitude. We have gratitude for the gratification we bring into our lives, making love to you. And if it's good, our souls are gonna sing. Women of soul, we make the mic talk. We rock black and proud. We take a long walk and shout, holler and then slip a sweet thing to your soul. Welcome to the soul of a woman. Thank you very much.
Monique, sis, I'm about to faint over here. Definitely gonna have to replay that one. Oh, and from the continent. Oh, so glad you made it. That's wonderful. My name is Noni Ervin. I am a writer. I'm a Black writer. I am so grateful for this group of writers that write in all genres and every kind of version of everything and say what they need to say. And so I'm so grateful. I am being stretched. I am just loving being in a place where I can just write and be me and grow and be challenged and learn. And so I'm going to read two poems. These are yet unpublished. They will be in the next book of poetry that I do, entitled Tamasha. First one is called Tell Me Again. Tell me again about my melanin skin and how my story began. On the soil rich with minerals and precious stones, hot dirt, clay, and sand. Tell me again about my intricate hair, markings and symbols that speak of my kin, shells, gold and silver, red, yellow, and orange. And tell me again about my amazing skill, mapping the stars and ocean currents, drawing and documenting the times preserved on our walls and held by our griots. Tell me again about architecture and chemistry, healing practices and metallurgy, exquisite tapestries and geometric precision, monuments and pyramids that touch the sky. Tell me again about my glorious imagination, inventing traffic lights and the ice cream scoop, patents upon patents and engineering sketches, problems noted and solved by my creative genius. Tell me again about my melanin skin, never starting with chains or ships or shackles. Go back to the continent, in the garden, Mother Africa, where we all began. Thank you, that's the first one. I wanted to mention that was inspired by Mr. Delbert Richardson's American History and Traveling Museum, The Unspoken Truths. And it is the sense I get when I watch young people experience Mother Africa and the inventors still realize Black inventors and inventions. The next one is called Crown. She walks in the room, barely able to contain her excitement. At least 1 million hours have been spent preparing for this amazing moment, including a variety of learning, such as crawling, walking, and running. She learned letters and words, numbers, and counting. Also language, both verbal and nonverbal. Even how to play, use her imagination, make new friends, and care for her pet turtle. Bubbling with wonder, she stands in the doorway and waves goodbye. Her posture upright, her shoulders relaxed, her crown is straight. The first day of school ensues. She approaches an enormous building, the biggest, and it is unclear where she should enter as she searches for something spectacular. All of the doors look the same. She's a bit confused and tilts her head in uncertainty. Her crown shifts. She finally picks a door and enters. There are people everywhere, kids and adults. Everyone is busy with activity, but moving too fast to see her eyes. She thinks that maybe she entered the wrong door and does not feel like she belongs here. Her shoulders become tense. Her chin drops. Her crown moves. She searches for the classroom that matches the number on her paper. Once inside, she looks around to find one teacher and many students. Nearly everything is beige. If not the walls, then the people on the walls. And then she hears, "Class, my name is Teacher. Remove your identity and place your personality in the basket on my desk. You will get them back after class." She does as instructed and removes her crown, then places her other jewels on the basket on Teacher's desk. She intends to ask her family about this later. She has worn her crown since birth, and it is never to be removed. The day seems to get longer and longer with every unanswered question. The morning's joy and excitement is now idle boredom. After some time, a bell signals the end of the day. Teacher says, "All right, class, great day. See you all tomorrow." She returns to get her crown, but it is no longer there. Her crown and jewels are not returned. She tries to hide her emotions, but a single tear escapes and runs down her face. Her shoulders are tight. Her head is down. Her crown is misplaced, or worse, lost. When she arrives home, her family struggles to recognize her at all. They inquire, "Where is your crown?" She cannot express. The upset is so great that she runs to her bedroom. Every wall in her room is covered with photos with her in her crown. Day after day, she returns to school and her crown is nowhere. Not on Teacher's desk and not on a shelf. Not in any classroom or office. She has searched everywhere and feels like the building and every room in it is getting smaller. Tears well up in her eyes, then run down her face. This continues for some time. Then one day she forgets and stops looking. She no longer thinks of her crown, and her family has stopped asking her about it. Every morning she enters, and every afternoon she exits. Every morning she wake up, and every afternoon she wake up. She exits and wake up, wake up, wake up. "Young queen, wake up. You don't want to be late for your first day of school." Oh, mama, I had a bad dream." "It will be just fine. I have already been to your school and met with your teachers. They cannot wait to see you. Now get yourself ready and I'll meet you downstairs." It seemed like just a few minutes and then, "I'm ready," was announced to the entire house. "Wow, you sure are. Do you have your book bag?" "Check." "And your lunch?" "Check. I want a photo before you leave." Bubbling with wonder, she stands in the doorway, her posture upright. With an excited smile and her shoulders relaxed, she straightens her crown. Thank you.
Okay, we did it. We did it again. Can we give ourselves applause? Thank you, everybody. It was just so good. I'm so happy we have it recorded.